Hi, my name is Tom DeKeyser. I'm the superintendent at Whitmore Lake Public Schools. We're doing a renewal of a sinking fund in August this year, and we want to take you on a tour and show you some of our facilities to tell you exactly why we want this renewal and why it's so important to our school district. Come on in, I'm going to take you on a tour. This building dates back to 1958. It had a couple of major renovations in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was the last wing that we added to it. In 1996, we updated all of its heating and cooling units, and that was the last time it was touched until 2003 when we did some interior remodeling. But the guts of it are still from 1996 and beyond, including this parking lot. Our sinking fund renewal is aimed at making major repairs and upgrades to technology and security. But parking lots are a significant goal of repairing and replacing with this sinking fund. Remember, this has not been touched since 1996. We did some modifications and some patching in 2003. The primary repairs that we'll be making at this building are related to the parking lot and the HVAC units. Again, dating back to 1996. I'm going to go at this just like our buses would. This is how it feels when you bring a bus onto this campus, or any visitor that comes onto our campus that has to go to the back of the building. I'm not exaggerating. These potholes will be repaired this summer. They'll be repaired with sinking fund dollars from what was passed in 2018. So what we're looking at doing is just renewing that sinking fund, which is currently at 0.94 mils, and extending it for 10 more years. With that additional revenue, we can continue to make repairs, but we could also do major replacements. So this whole parking lot would be gutted if this sinking fund millage is renewed. This campus used to be our high school and then later became our middle school and a high school. A fun fact, because the elementary school got so big in the 70s, grades 6 through 8 were added to this building, and then later a middle school was actually created on the same campus. In 2003, a bond was passed and moved the 9-12 grades to a new high school, which was opened in 2006 and 7. This building became an early childhood center and a middle school and a transportation department, as well as housing our district offices. Today, it does almost the same thing, except for a portion of it is rented to an academy that Whitmore Lake Public Schools authorizes, the Livingston Classical Academy. A lot of people don't know that Whitmore Lake Public Schools uses most of this campus for its own kids. About 40% of the building, the entire campus, is used by Livingston Classical Academy. Again, a major repair that we're going to do on this campus is going to be related to parking lots. Now we're going to go to the high school. So we're leaving a campus that has not had significant infrastructure upgrades to heating and cooling since 1996. So air conditioning units, rooftop units, air handlers at that building date back to 1996. A lot of people ask, will the middle school, the old middle school, ever open for Whitmore Lake kids again? The answer is you have to look at the enrollment trends. Right now we are trending up. We are one of the few school districts that has steadily increased enrollment over the last 5 years. That's a good thing. It's been slow growth, which means we don't have to reopen a building right away or build anything new right away. But it is a good sign of things to come. There's a couple of new housing developments that are going online in the next 5 years. Uh, how many students come from those developments into our district will be the deciding factor as to when we reopen that building, the Main Street campus, to all Whitmore Lake students. Right now, the answer is we don't have to. We have a really good school that we lease to. We have an excellent partnership with them. We gain revenue as a district from it, and maintain some of our sports, robotics, and other extracurricular activities because the Livingston Classical kids are invited to participate in those. Sinking funds can be used for security, for technology, and for major repair and replacement of parts or units. It cannot be used to pay teachers, administrators. We can't even buy buses with this current one. So it's somewhat limiting, but extremely valuable. If you don't have a bond to buy all new equipment, which is what we did in 2003, then a sinking fund is a very cost-effective way of maintaining your equipment. You can make major repairs and replacements if something breaks. And you don't have to always go and get new stuff. So you don't have to keep taxing your public with these bonds. So our hope is that we can renew what is already existing, and we can continue to make cost-effective repairs to the buildings that the taxpayers supported in 2003 with no increase to taxes. I think it's important to note that when you look at this building, our newest of all our buildings, our flagship building, our Whitmore Lake High School, built in 2000, opened in 2006, that it's 20 years old. And in 20 years, we again have seen a lot of degradation of parking and curb areas. Our ring roads have been repaired recently, but these repairs only last a couple years. We can keep doing that, but eventually they should just be replaced. Otherwise, we're just throwing money in a hole, a pothole. Again, these buildings look fantastic from the outside. When we ask people, what do you think about our buildings? And we try to tell them that we need repairs and infrastructure updates, especially the heating and cooling, they always tell us, they look great. Why do you have to do anything? They do look great from the exterior. But if you get up on the roofs, if you start examining the air handlers, even the roofing material alone, which typically don't go beyond 20 years, you will see a lot of problems. And air handlers alone can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. This building uses only a few air handlers because we built it in a very conservative way. It relies on a geothermal field, part of which is under the pond in the back that people like to fish from. We use the pond to actually, it's a small loop geothermal system. We use that to cool the building in the summer because we don't need as much heating and cooling activity. The kids aren't here. So a small loop in the bottom of the pond cools it in the summer. A much larger loop in the open field north of the school is used for heating and some cooling during the school year. The heating and cooling from the geothermal system comes into the building and goes up to our third floor where we have dozens of heat pumps. Those heat pumps have a 15-year lifespan. They're on year 20. They're a few $1,000s a piece. If we lose all of them at once, we're in a problem. So a sinking fund helps maintain and replace ones that break. In 2018, when we asked voters to approve, and they did overwhelmingly, a sinking fund to help us maintain our properties in Whitmore Lake Public Schools, one of the first things we did was we resurfaced our track. Now, it had been about 13 years since we first built the school, and it was kind of important to replace it. because it was starting to wear down. We've since been able to paint it a couple of times and really do a nice job of maintaining the investment that we put into it. In addition to that, when we built Whitmore Lake High School, security advancements just weren't where they were today. So we did add some vestibules to make the building more secure. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a building without some added security. Um, all of that was done with the 2018 sinking fund. We did make some repairs to our lighting systems at the time, but again, that was in 2018. The technology is so much more advanced now that you know, 10 years later, we'd like to do another upgrade just to save continued costs on energy. Now, why is all that important? Why don't we just take the money we get from our property taxes and put it into making these repairs? Well, the answer is we do. It helps us maintain our bus fleet, our custodial services, our curriculum purchases. That's all property taxes. So when you're all done spending that money, you typically don't have enough left over to fix parking lots. So a sinking fund helps you do that and protects your general fund. We like to separate the two and think of our general fund as our instructional budget. That's how we pay our teachers. That's how we pay for our curriculum. We do a lot of our instructional updating with our property taxes or our operational fund. We like to protect that. Our sinking fund we like to use for all of our major repairs and replacements of equipment. We've been running that model since we passed that sinking fund in 2018. It's been very effective. We are able to maintain a healthy fund balance. Our district went from a zero fund balance in 2015 to over $1 million fund balance today, and we've been maintaining that for years, in large part because we rely heavily on our sinking fund to maintain our properties. Another question people ask me, if you passed it in 2018, why are you looking to renew it in 2026? Well, that's true, it does go to 2028. So why ask for it early? Because I'd like to get a jump start on fixing those parking lots. If I can renew it now, I can then leverage the existing sinking funds to start making the repairs today. Otherwise, I have to wait 3 more years to fix parking lots that are in curbs that are just crumbling. So to avoid leaning on our general fund for any of those repairs, I think a renewal of the sinking fund right now is a smart request. It protects our general fund, our instructional fund, and it gives our residents and the people who use our facilities high quality parking and high quality sidewalks to walk on. Sinking funds also are used to support our technology needs. We have invested a lot in Chromebooks, in classroom technologies, even phone technology. It all has a lifespan. So when you pass a 30-year bond like we did in 2003 and you buy all new stuff, keep in mind, in 5 years, a lot of it's outdated. A sinking fund then can be used to replace equipment that is outdated and put it on a schedule of replacement. So you're not looking at like replacing everything all at once. And that's what we do. We have Chromebooks for our students. We have a cycle that we initiated. We started following in 2021, and it actually it really helped us a lot during COVID. If we hadn't started leaning on our sinking fund for technology, we wouldn't have had any devices to use during COVID. Because we did that ahead of time, and because we put things on a cycle in 21 to start replacing, we have high quality equipment in our classrooms every day for our students to use. Repairs, maintenance repairs, replacement of equipment, it uses a big chunk of the sinking fund every year. But technology and security does use the rest of it. We usually carry over maybe $100,000 every year. Um, this year we spent most of it uh, uh, because we just had a lot of repairs. Um, we put all new water softening units in each building, so we had to replace those. That's over $100,000. All three buildings got it. The high school has a sewer pump failure that we're dealing with. That will be probably $100,000 to replace. Uh, you never know when that's going to happen, and that's why a fund balance is important. But if we can protect that fund balance for instructional purposes and lean on our sinking fund, then we're an overall healthier district. In 2018, when we passed our original sinking fund, one of the first things we did was replace what I call the east parking lot at Whitmore Lake Elementary. The plan was to start here and then start replacing each parking lot as we went. This parking lot had started to crumble, the curbs were falling apart, and we needed to replace it. It cost us about $70,000 to do that work. Then COVID hit. After COVID, we started re-engaging with the contractors who we relied on to build this parking lot, and we were expecting the cost of the next parking lot to be about $200,000. It went up to $400,000. Today, if we replace that parking lot and all curbs associated with this facility, it would cost us over $1 million. So we went from a $200,000 estimate in 2019 to over $1 million in 2026. Again, I can't rely on our instructional budget or our general fund for that, and I can't rely on the existing sinking fund without a renewal to replace those parking lots. All I can do is keep patching, which, as I stated at the high school, is literally throwing money into a hole. Now, this building was built as a result of a 1989 bond for a little over $7 million. It went online in the early 90s, 1991, I think, was when it opened. And in the 2003 bond, we did do some repairs to the building. We replaced classroom units, but we didn't touch the parking lots. So we striped them, we cleaned up some areas, but this is original 1991 asphalt and curbing. We've repaired it several times. The road leading to Whitmore Lake Elementary has been replaced twice by the road commission since I've been here, probably 3 times since this school's been built, and we have yet to replace this parking lot. Again, we have patched it. Anyone who's come onto this property this year knows full well how bad it was. They'll come onto the property in the fall. They'll notice the patches. The potholes are gone. There's major areas that we've excavated and filled in, but we just don't have enough money in the current sinking fund to replace all of it. So going for a renewal will help me plan with architects and construction managers on a new parking area for this area, and then shortly thereafter, then we can leverage the new dollars in that sinking fund to replace this parking lot. We have to probably do it in sections because each property, each campus has a little over $1 million worth of parking and curb repairs associated with it. With the last sinking fund, we spent a lot of money on security. You don't really see it, but each classroom has a secure boot, we call it. All of our doors have been numbered and redone, so they all secure and close as expected. This helps us both with security and energy efficiency. You don't have gaps under your doors, so you're not wasting energy with cold air blowing in or cold air seeping out. But it was primarily a security measure. When you open and close the door, you expect it to close tightly behind you and to have that security behind you. All of that is done with sinking funds. Over $350,000 of sinking funds have been invested in security upgrades. This building is really important to have those upgrades done. Um, just because there are so many doors, we have outdoor recess every day, people coming and going to those areas. It's just important to have the security when people come into the building and to be able to lock down quickly and not worry about those gaps. People ask me, are we going to improve the entryway to Whitmore Lake Elementary School? No, a sinking fund alone doesn't give you enough money to renovate that chunk of a building. It used to in 2018. We actually did it at the high school, but those were 2018 dollars, and everything is just a lot more expensive today. So what's your renewal going to cover? Again, it's going to cover uh, immediately parking and curb repairs at all three buildings, and money left over from that we can then use to continue upgrading or updating and repairing our HVAC facilities, our lighting facilities, our security facilities, and of course, our technology, which I mentioned before.